Boys, this game is huge, especially after what just happened to Florida and all the momentum that LSU has opening up conference play. This one can make a huge difference when it comes down to the end of it, Coach. What is up, everybody? Thanks for hopping in. Got a great preview and prediction with a best bet today for a matchup that was going to be huge regardless of what happened in week 2. But after what happened to Florida, losing at home to South Florida, with Billy Napier setting up for the rest of this brutal schedule, it's just become even bigger. And we're talking conference play. Florida on the road, going to Death Valley to play LSU, guys, in a mega matchup, in a weekend full of mega matchups. I mean, this is the chocolate factory for fat people of college football. Just walk in, the schnozberries taste like schnozberries. There's chocolate rivers. It's just an outstanding situation. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Again, in the comments, we're going to pin this as well. Give us the score. Your prediction already. I know it's on Sunday. We got a whole week. We do not care. As usual, David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback, joining me. Blaine Crain, former Western State Colorado wide receiver as well. Guys, we're now into the conference race. There's still some non-cons left. We know there's some at the end of the year. But now we're starting to enter conference play where you're going to separate the men from the boys. And, Blaine, I'm going to start with you.
Ooh.
This game is massive either way. What is the line that you have right now as we sit here? Because I'm going to give you mine that I'm looking at from probably a different book that's going to be a little surprising.
All right. The line that I'm looking at is from FanDuel Sportsbook. And right now it's -9.5 LSU, money laying LSU at -114. The over-under at 51.5. Florida money line in this game is +250.
Guys, I'm looking at on ESPN Bet right now. They've got the over-under at 54.5, not 51.5. And they've got LSU -6.5.
That's what I saw too.
Not the 9.5. So it's a little bit all over the place. Can get some good value here. David, I want to start with you. If you're Florida offensively going on the road to play what looks like the best LSU defense that they've had in a while in a game they're going to be juiced up for, sitting at 2-0 with that huge win on the road at Clemson, talking about LSU, you know, what about this game plan? Are you going about differently to maybe hit on some of these explosives?
Well, it's tough because you actually ran the football against South Florida, right? Like it was DJ Lagway who got outperformed by Byron Brown. That's the part that was confusing about the loss to South Florida. But on the LSU side, it was sort of the trifecta of negativity yesterday. You didn't play great coming off the Clemson win. 2, Clemson looked terrible against Troy. And 3, worst of all, your opponent for this week, Florida, actually lost their game to South Florida. You'd love to figure out a way for Florida to win that game at the end, because I think you're going to be in a situation where Florida is going to be all focused coming into this. But hey, that's the SEC. I can't wait for this football game. And look, I don't know how, based off what we saw with Florida yesterday, how you don't take LSU to win the game. Now, if these spreads keep bouncing around, look, if you want to try and lock in LSU under the hook on a touchdown, might as well get it now, because I know it's bouncing back and forth here between the 6.5 and all the way up to almost 10 in some places.
Blaine, with what we've seen, and look, we talked about Florida's defense against South Florida, and you know, again, giving up the short throws that you know you're going to get from Byron Brown, and obviously the big touchdown play. I don't know how right now, if I can get this under at 54.5, I don't pound it. With what I've seen with both of these defenses, not that the offenses, you know, aren't explosive, but LSU seems pretty methodical in what they want to do. You just feel like the under's a really good play early here. Am I crazy?
Yeah, if you can get it at 54.5, but God, if there's ever a time to lock in, fellas, I mean, Billy Napier, DJ Lagway, going into Death Valley versus Brian Kelly and Garrett Nussmeier, maybe the dream team for LSU. God, I love college football. God, I love it. It's just it's undefeated. And I will say this to LSU, look, I know Florida just lost, but this game comes a hell of a lot more scarier now since they did. Because if you're Florida, you got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
You have nothing to lose walking into this football game. You should be gas pedal to the floor, screaming America early. And the first thing I'm going to look at Florida is the most Plaxico Burress team I have ever seen. They're going to shoot themselves in the foot. They did the same thing versus South Florida. If you're going to beat LSU, you need to be clean from a turnover standpoint, and you need to be clean from a penalty standpoint. And just like it comes down, I know this isn't just the toughest analysis to come up with, right? LSU's at their best when they can run the football. Florida's at their best when they can run the football. Which front seven on the other side is going to stymie the other and turn them into one-dimensional team? If that can happen, things can get interesting really quick.
Well, David, you got two really good backs in this game. I mean, Jaden Baugh, Caden Durham. Everybody's going to talk about the quarterback matchup, and I get it. But I want to see, to Blaine's point, not only which front seven is going to show up on defense, but which offensive line is going to show up and be able to set the terms to open it up for their quarterback. I know DJ Lagway can run it. I don't really think he wants to. I think he wants to beat you from the pocket. And to your point about, Florida becoming scarier because they lost, they're going to try and make up for it. What's a great way to make up for it? Well, you go into conference play and beat the number 3 team in the country. At least that's what they're ranked right now on the road. That'd be huge, and that would change some hearts. But again, the more I look at it, LSU's a more disciplined team.
Here's the thing. Whether you're a gym newbie or a seasoned athlete, doing the same workouts over and over again will eventually kill your motivation. Plus, your body stops responding when it gets too comfortable. That's why Fitbod creates workouts that actually change with you. Like Blaine's hair. As you get stronger, your routine evolves too. So you never get stuck in that dreaded plateau or find yourself scrolling through your phone between sets out of pure boredom. I mean, we used Fitbod to get in shape for the movie that we were in. That's why we looked and continue to look jacked and tan. I mean, proof's in the pudding. The best part, Fitbod actually gets to know you. It builds workouts around your specific goals, fitness level, and whatever equipment you have access to, whether that's a full gym or just some dumbbells at home. Plus, the app tracks your muscle recovery, so you're not accidentally overworking the same areas day after day. Everything is designed by a certified personal trainer, so you're getting real expertise without the price tag. So level up your workout. Join Fitbod today to get your personalized workout plan. Get 25% off your subscription, or try the app free for 7 days at fitbod.me/booster. That's fitbod.me/booster. Get in shape. Don't just be round.
They're just a more disciplined team.
Sure.
That's the biggest difference, I think, in LSU right now defensively. Yeah, they may have some better personnel overall. I don't think they've had bad personnel in aggregate, but they play smart. They play physical. They play aggressive, but not being over-emotional. So, David, let me throw this scenario out there. Let's say both front sevens stop the run and both teams become one-dimensional. Who do you trust more with what they have around him? Do you just go with the older guy in Nuss because he's at home and because we've seen him, have to operate without a run game for honestly most of his career?
Well, not just for those reasons, but yeah, I mean, I watched a Florida team that couldn't even pull it out yesterday against South Florida when they needed DJ Lagway to do it. But despite the high-profile nature of both quarterbacks here, DJ Lagway and Garrett Nussmeier, I do think we're going to get a flavor of ice cream where the defenses set the tone in this, much like LSU Clemson, similar to Buckeyes Texas. That's why I think the under is a great play here. And if you're LSU, you had Florida later in the season last year, and Florida pulls off that win because their back's against the wall. The last thing you wanted to do was have Florida with their back against the wall already in week 3, because it's tough enough to beat Florida any year. They're going to have great football players running around on the field, but now you're going to face them with their back against the wall. But I'll tell you what Blake Baker does on defense, and I went back and looked at some of the looks that he was giving Cade Klubnik. There's a reason that an experienced quarterback in Klubnik looked like a deer in headlights, just with all of the different movement post-snap that he was getting. If LSU can confuse DJ Lagway and hold up well against the run, I think that's going to give LSU the best chance to win the football game and allow Garrett Nussmeier multiple opportunities to lead his team down the field on long drives.
Blaine, I think Lagway turns the ball over at least twice in this game.
Really?
It just feels like it to me. Because, again, you can bring up, Florida, now they're even more dangerous than the other. Man, I don't know. I feel like LSU really knows who they are. Like
Sure.
This LSU, I know it wasn't great against La Tech, kind of coming off that big win against Clemson. But I don't think there was ever any panic with LSU. It feels like maybe Florida is going to try and make up for it so much that DJ Lagway takes some chances early. And if I'm Blake Baker, I'm just going to set the trap. I don't need to go out here and pressure you like crazy all the time. I'm going to make you operate maybe even underneath 2 safeties if we're able to stop the run and be adequate with an even box. So this just feels like a game where Lagway maybe makes a couple of big plays, but makes a couple of big mistakes in a place. I mean, this game's at 6:30. Okay, this is going to be at night. They're going to be liquored up. They're going to be undefeated. They're going to be ranked top 5. I can tell you from personal experience, that's going to be like walking into Mordor, brother, for DJ Lagway. I think a defensive touchdown for LSU as well. It just feels that way to me.
So, I mean, 6:30 at Death Valley is almost just a death sentence.
You might as well play at midnight.
If you got, my thing is like, you got 11 penalties versus South Florida at home.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You're going on the road to Death Valley, one of, if not the toughest place to play in the country. I don't think the penalties is not going to get better from here. But the big game I'm interested in looking at within the big game, what David brought up, is this linebacking core for LSU, the Weeks brother, Harold Perkins, and the game versus DJ Lagway. The game inside the game, the chess match that Blake Baker is going to play, because Blake Baker is one of the best in the country of showing you one thing and then it being the complete opposite. And I thought 3 linebackers, because this defense for LSU is not only talented, they're high-Q football individuals, right? And you can see that throughout a football game. So the linebacking core versus DJ Lagway, that's what I'm excited to play, the chess match that's going to happen for Florida.
Blaine, I don't hate what Florida has in the middle of the run game. Like, to me, with the Weeks brothers, you got to run it right at them. Like, you can't – I don't think you get into this sideline to sideline game. Now, again, you have to work the flats. I'm not saying you never do it. But I do think Florida, especially to maybe protect DJ early and set up the play action and maybe some shots in the seam at a heavier personnel, I think you line up, and I like your gap scheme, your offensive line versus this linebacker core. That's what I would do, at least test it out early with a back like Jaden Baugh that can put his head down and maybe limit possessions.
If I'm Florida, like how many times can I get into 2nd and 5 and 3rd and 2 and just stay on schedule and leave the litany of play calling open for Billy Napier and DJ Lagway? They don't need to get in the business of getting behind the chains, whether that's 1st and 15 or 2nd and 8 or 3rd and 7+. That's when you get in dangerous territory. So if I'm Florida, you have to stay on schedule in this game.
You know, here's one exciting thing for LSU fans. After this week, we're going to know whether or not you're for real, because even after the win against Clemson and the way Clemson followed up in week 2, maybe Clemson's just not as good as we thought and you beat a mediocre football team. I don't think that's the case, but it could be true. This week, you are going to get the best version of Florida. Whoever Florida really is, that's who you're going to get. Other SEC teams later in the season may not get that, because if there are 3 or 4 conference losses, maybe the team quits, maybe they move on from Billy Napier midseason, but not this week, because they're still, with their backs against the wall, an opportunity to respond at a place like Death Valley and to beat LSU and notch a very impressive win. So if LSU is able to take care of Florida with their backs against the wall, when you're going to get the most impressive version of them, I think that's going to tell us a lot about this LSU team. And thank God you get them at home, man. Because if this were the other way around, if this game were in the swamp, would you guys consider taking Florida this week?
No.
I would still probably take LSU. It would probably be 3.5, and I would buy it down to 2.5 because I hate the 3.5 number when I'm taking the favorite. But now again, why would I trust Florida over LSU? Seeing what we've seen this past week. I mean, Long Island, you can say what you want, but again, it's those self-inflicted wounds, the Plaxico Burress effect that Blaine's talking about. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and get into predictions here. I think the best bet right now, like I said, is the under at 54.5. If you could get it, I don't mind it at 52.5, 51.5. I'm not touching it yet. Going to see if that thing goes back up. But look, I do like LSU at 6.5. I think they're a touchdown better than Florida just because of mistakes. Like I said, I think there's going to be a defensive or special teams touchdown in this game. I like LSU, and that would push Florida to 1 at 2, and that would be it would be a little bit of a panic button. I think you'd see even more out of Gainesville.
Yeah, well, I'll take LSU 21-17. I like the under as well. I if you can get that 9.5 with Florida, please jump all over it. Maybe even the 6.5, man. I refuse to believe that this Florida team is going to quit, that they're not going to fight. And again, if LSU moves forward and wins by 2 touchdowns, I think that's going to tell us a lot about who these teams really are. You know, not LSU playing La Tech the week after coming off this really high of a win. We're going to find out a lot more about what's the true identity of both of these teams.
Blaine, I've got LSU 27-20.
Okay, you have 27-20. I mean, if you can get the over-under at 54.5, I don't know how you don't bet the under in this game. So if you can get that, I think that is the best bet. But I would take Florida to cover the 7.5. I'd buy this up a point and get Florida plus 7.5. I think Florida is going to come ready to play in this game after what happened against South Florida. Give me LSU 24, Florida 17.
All right. Well, in the comments, we want to know what you think. Again, we're going to be breaking this down all week. We got power rankings coming out tomorrow on Crain & Company, as well as some other previews. Make sure you check out our Week 2 recap, including our Oklahoma-Michigan reaction as well. We appreciate you guys joining us. Look, this is a huge week. Every week's big, but the Week 3 slate is a plentiful. We appreciate you. Make sure you're subbed, and make sure you keep checking us out. And like the chances of me not already wanting to have more college football tonight, we're gone.